During his 6-year career in Buhurt, Alexander Das has served as the coach of the Santa Barbara Soldados, a Dominus member, and has recently laid claim to the accolade of World 5v5 Champion at the infamous IMCF 2026. Although melee focused, he is also undefeated in the Golden Ring Outrance series and has been a well-known duelist on occasion. As a coach and as a fighter, Alexander focuses on two versus one, seeking to overcome challenging opponents through clever and deliberate teamwork rather than raw skill against skill. How long have you been fighting? How long have you been a fighter in Buhurt?
I've been doing Barron for 6 years.
What initially got you into the sport?
Initially, my mom found it in a park, and called me and told me that I had to get to Oak Park in Santa Barbara like 20 minutes ago. Um, and when I got there, it was dudes bashing each other in the head with axes. Um, Lance Hoffman was the guy doing that. I kind of like didn't know what was going on at the time. It was like it was the height of the Armored Combat League, and like everybody was wearing armor from Ice Falcon, which was all like this crazy expensive like stainless steel armor. And when I asked like, hey, like how much does it cost to get into the sport? They're like, you should expect to spend like $6,000 or $7,000 on armor. And I was like, I was not, I was like right out of college. I had absolutely did not have $7,000 to spend on armor. So I pretty much told them that I would be back. Um, and I just kind of forgot about it for a little while and rediscovered it like late 2019. Um, and when I contacted Lance Hoffman to like finally like get into it, I was like, "When's your next practice? When can I come?" And he was like, "Well, like, what are you doing in 2 hours?" Because we got a guy like driving down to an order to Conus practice. Like, we're not practicing today, but they are. You could just like meet him in a parking lot of an Albertsons and go down to San Diego. So I did that. And my first practice was an order to Conus practice.
Uh, what got you to stay in the sport after your initial introduction?
I think like purely like I want it to be cooler, but it's like it's the night thing. Like that was the real sell. Like I want to be a sword fighter. That's like what I have done most of my life, officially and unofficially. I did fencing for a little while. I did a lot of lightsaber fights in the park. I did a lot of unsupervised stick fights. Um, and Originally, what I wanted to get into was HEMA, but Bohurt was what was in Santa Barbara. And they fulfilled my need of like sword fighting, but with like cooler swords than fencing. Fencing swords aren't like they're not sword enough. Um, they don't they don't give you the same feeling, I think. And there's no two-handed swords. Their sabers aren't curved. Like they're fucking up a lot of things, in my opinion. Um, but there wasn't really HEMA around. I had to go down to LA to do it. So like Bohurt was an opportunity to sword fight, but also it made me feel like a knight, which was really cool. And I really didn't like start off trying to be competitive about it at all. I really just wanted to sword fight and have fun and have a good time.
So, from my perspective, you're a fairly, let's say, famous member of Dominus, but you're coming in, you're wanting to just do longsword. How did it go from let's do longsword to okay, let's get involved with melees. Okay, let's get competitive about melees. Okay, let's become Dominus and what Dominus is to okay, let's show everyone how we did what we're doing.
Um, First of all, the transition from longsword to melee was done unwillingly. I basically like tried out for the ACW team as a longsword duelist. Um, and I was all excited to go on longsword duel, and they basically just told me that I was in fact going to be in the melee, whether I liked it or not. And they were like really counting on me to like make something happen. Um, so like very much a fish out of water there. I like went in and like thought I was going to be like a two-hander guy. So like I actually made this big like pole axe, like welded up a pole axe head. And I was convinced that that was going to be like, because again, like I wanted to be like it was about knight shit, right? And like the pole axe to me is like the archetypal like knightly weapon. Um, and that's like that's what I thought I was going to be. And it was fun. I do sort of like I do sort of miss the pole axe, but it was far from optimal. Um, After that, I got thrown into melee and like ended up having a good time. I really wasn't expecting to. I don't know that I was fully convinced at the time it was happening that it was fun. But after the tournament, after like a little bit of sleep and hydration, I think then I started to realize that what the experience that I had was fun. Um, and then I just sort of started like engaging with that part of the sport more. Started like I had originally like I don't like really want to get into grappling. Like I'm just here for the sword fighting. Like, I want to ting ting. I don't want to hug. And the melee, I was like, oh man, like I was like kind of wrestling with a bunch of guys. Like that was kind of tight. Like that was kind of fun. So I kind of started engaging with the grappling aspect of the sport more. Um, and then a little bit after that, Daniel Krug got tight with Joseph Brandt, who's on my team, who started around the same time as me. Um, and uh, Joe was going up to one of Daniel's training camps. Um, and I went up with him. We drove in his giant battle van. And uh, Krug's camp was like the first taste I had of like structured coaching. Um, like, hey, this is what we're going to learn. Now we're going to drill it at half speed. But now I'm going to like correct some of your technique. Like now we're going to try it in live application. Now we're going to do it in a 5v5. And it was like the first section, the first like experience that I had of like genuinely being taught how to do Buhurt instead of mostly like trying to figure it out. Um, and the like immediate improvement just from the like technique, it requires like a lot of reps. Like concepts are very fast. Like changing your approach to something uh can yield you a much more immediate result. So like just going to this place and like having like the mindset shift um was like, oh, I'm immediately like so much better at melee just because like I'm thinking about it in a different way. Like I'm thinking about strategies. I'm thinking about like how can we do this as a team? How can I like not fight this guy in front of me and instead fight some guy who doesn't know I'm about to fight him? Um, it was interesting. It was and those training events kept happening. Um, Craig Ivey also hosted the Battle Advancement and Legendary Learning Series, colloquially known as balls. Um, and I went to a couple of those events. Those were extremely focused uh, teaching and also like innovation on the part of several different coaches. Basically, like it was a gathering of all the people that were like innovating in Bohurt and having success with those innovations. Um, and they got together and taught us all their cool tricks. And then we drilled them over and over and over again in soft kit. Like Balls was not an armor event. Like you just brought a soft kit. And we were training for probably like 6 to 8 hours a day. Like it was a lot. We would
Whoa.
like wake up and do like a little warm up and like they like catered lunch and like we'd have like a little training section in the morning, then they cater lunch, and then we'd have a training section in the afternoon, then they cater dinner. Like it was a lot and it was a lot of fun. It was very training focused, but also like very fun focused. Like Craig was a big believer in like making training fun. And he did a good job of it. Um, and that really like I don't know, that was the beginning because like well, suddenly training for this sport is not only like rewarding, but it's also very fun. It's like it's something you just want to be doing. It's a good time. It's not like purely strain and struggle so that you look cool in a fight. It's like, well, no, also I'm just having a damn good time doing it.
So
Taught me to enjoy the journey.
for me, coming from judo, I had part of my judo journey was that when you're training to try to qualify for the Olympics, it becomes a job because you're in the gym, you're in the dojo, you're stretching, you're in the physical realm so much. And with such a structured or unstructured plan and traveling so much, it becomes so much of a job. And when I entered this sport, it was so much because it's tough to release the job mentality behind my judo preparation. Of
Mm,
course I've let
yeah.
that bleed back into my Bohurt, but uh the initials of this I was not expecting to become a good fighter. I was just trying to, do something other than what I had been doing. And then I was finding it a lot more fun, but also I was having some good initial successes. Um, with you beginning to have fun with the melee fights, now how did you transition into becoming who, from my point of view, you're somewhat of a celebrity or a known fighter, especially coming from Dominus? How did you transition from just some guy getting his butt whooped because he was forced not to do duels and went to some training camps? Now, Dominus.
I guess there were a couple stepping stones on the way. Because of the like social relationships that I had built, going to those camps. Daniel Krug offered me a spot in 2023 to go fight with the team that he coached, Cerberus Emesis, in at Carnage. Um, and following that, um, uh, when the Buhurt League World Cup went off, it was like a club event rather than a Worlds event. So the USA sent three teams, Dominus, the Warlords, and the War Pigs. Um, I got offered a spot on the War Pigs, um, and that I think was kind of like my breakout performance. I think that's like the performance that put me on the map. That was the first time I ever heard people I didn't know saying my name in a Bohurt video.
Oh,
Um, because they were like, oh, like they were doing like how did the USA do at Buhurt League Worlds video, and they were like commenting on my performance, and like that was I think the first time that like people started like taking note of me. um I did very well at that tournament. That was definitely one of my better performances. And that was also my like first like high level competition. Um, like I'd fought at Carnage, but like it was sort of like a rookie team. We mostly just like got hammered. I fought in ACW a little bit, um, but ACW is ACW. Um, but Buhurt League World Cup was like everybody. It was like all most of the big names in Europe were there. And the later that year, Domina sent two teams to AMCF, And I was invited to be part of one of those teams. And following that, they invited me to come to Carnage, and then I just started fighting with them whenever they went to a tournament. Um, I drank the Kool-Aid pretty immediately. I think the Dominus training ethos, I mean, it was very like formative to me before I was a part of Dominus. And I think it was formative to me because it appealed to me very much. They had this all these training camps were like so like honest. Like there was no like secrecy. There was no like, oh, we're not going to teach you like our like special moves. It was like, this is how I'm going to beat you. This is the technique I'm going to use. This is the strategy I'm going to use to employ the technique to beat you. There you go. Rep it out. Do it to me next time. And it's like no secrets in Buhurt has been like foundational to my approach to Buhurt. I think like Daniel Krug's adage was like the rising tide lifts all ships. Um, and it's true. Like if you teach the people around you what you're doing to win, you are now like pushed to do something better, more interesting, more creative to win. Like if nobody knows what an Osotogari is, like, yeah, you're just gonna Osotogari everybody. But as soon as
Yeah.
like people know how to defend it, it's like, okay, and like now you have to start working on a second technique. Now you have to learn a sneaky way to set up your Osoto so they don't see it coming. Like it pushes you to be better. And that's that idea scaled up, like you teach teams to be better, like that means you'll have better competition. That means you will have a reason to get better in the sport. Um, and I really wanted to be a part of that. That was like, I think coaching is like maybe my long-term goal in Bohurt. I like teaching people. I think teaching people makes it like it's a good way for you to learn. It's a good way for you to like process information and like really like hone your skill because you have to think about the basics of how to explain it to somebody that doesn't know how to do it. Um, and uh, I like those training events like unlocked my broad enjoyment of training for Bohurt. And yeah, I would love to be a part of that. Like that's I would love to be part of a movement that's making the sport better.
So is that how the current so there's the current status of Dominus, which we'll get into in a minute, but the mindset of Dominus seems to have to become what is the norm, what is the expectation in Bohurt, is that you spread the information. Was it just always this way for you guys? And now that you guys are more spread out to your individual teams, does it just continue through that?
Um, I hope it does. We certainly try and do that. Uh, like the Manacores of the team up north of us, in San Luis Obispo, and we'll occasionally go up there and do like joint trainings with them and try and communicate like some of what's been working for us. Like these are the tactics, these are the strategies. Um, to try and make them better, to like bolster the local scene. Like there's only like five or six Boher teams in California. And if we can make all of them bitching, then our scene will be the best scene. It'll be cool things will happen. We'll develop new tech. Yeah. Um, and we do the same thing occasionally for the Golden Knights. Um, in LA.
I believe there are six teams in California. Um, but let's quick interim about the Manacores. So the last few tournaments, I talk about, we got to remember sometimes that we have fun, that we're supposed to be having fun,
Yeah.
and how serious some of us can get about tournament and about training. The Manticores, I think, regardless of the results, are having the most fun of all the teams that I've seen in the California tournaments.
That is true. That is true. Perhaps too much fun. But
Shout
they
out
are
Isaac.
definitely having fun.
I really like those guys. We went and did an event with them in Bakersfield, and there were some real fun knuckleheads on that. Uh,
Yeah.
let's get back to a little bit about Dominus. What is the status of Dominus now? What is Dominus doing? Is it disbanded? Is it just doing international? What are you guys up to?
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. My name's Andrew Barron. I make the best holsters in the game. If you need a holster or even a custom seatbelt with your personal logo on it or anything of that nature, make sure you come to me. I'll get you exactly what you want, whenever you want it, exactly how you want it. I make the most durable holsters in the game that allow you to sheath your weapon and pull your weapon perfectly in and out of combat. So, make sure you get one of my holsters if you want the best in the game.
It's decidedly not disbanded. Uh, we all, well, basically like everybody has their home team, and one of the like the primary weakness of Dominus is like we don't get a lot of training time together. There's like certain like pairs or like three-man groups of Dominus that get to train together more than a couple times a year. So naturally, like everybody started building up like a hometown team. And then when like that team would go to a competition that Dominus was also going to, either we were depriving Dominus of a member or we were depriving that hometown team of one of their star players. Um, so we agreed to sort of do a hiatus because everybody was kind of like primed to do something with their team. Uh, the Vagabonds have been starting to pick up. They wanted to go to Carnage. The Warlords had just rebranded to the Dragoons and were like building a new gym. Um, the Soldados were like we've been starting to like lock in our roster and find like a lineup that's really working for us. And we wanted to go like we wanted to see if we could take the Soldados international. That was like our stated goal. We didn't know that it would be IMCF. Like the first tournament we had our eye on was the Clare Galloway Castle Shield, which is like this like sick little tournament in a castle in Ireland. Um, but AMCF was like the opportunity that presented itself, and we took a crack at it, and we did it. So we're going international with the Soldados. A little off topic. But essentially everybody had like a hometown team that they wanted to foster. Like they wanted to invest in their immediate local scene, and not focus so much on Dominus. Um, the term that was discussed was like we decided we're not competing in 2026. Um, we have not talked about whether we're competing in 2027, where we would compete in 2027. Um, Interestingly, like the hometown teams becoming better has now like I think made the sport um like better than when Dominus was competing because it doesn't really do a lot for the sport in the long term to have one team destroy everybody constantly. Um that doesn't necessarily like make the sport all that much better. It proves a point. It gives us a really good shot at like winning worlds. Um, but I think it's better for the sport now that there's like a bunch of strong competitive teams that um could like potentially all be competing in tier one Carnage and have a really uh competitive bracket.
Pause. Hold on one second. I gotta close the door. Thank you. All right. Back. Camera in. All right. Okay. Let's jump back to night shit. Uh,
Love
so
night shit.
night shit. So part of the sport is being a night, LARPing a night, whatever. Uh, from my understanding, when you go overseas and fight in fives or 12s, you get when you go overseas and fight, that's how you get knighted in our sport, which is a holdover from the SCA days. Uh, have you been knighted? Are you interested in being knighted? What do you think about the knighting for the white belt system for Buhurt?
I really um expected before I went international, I expected it to be more into it. And like I had the opportunity for it. I went to Boher League World Cup, and Jay Puerta, who was like the international vet in the area from LA, like gave me this like nice white leather belt, and he was like, "Hey, you should have somebody knight you over there." And like that was very sweet. I really appreciated that. And it just kind of didn't hit. It didn't appeal in the moment. Um, it felt like, I don't know, like sort of a false accolade, uh it was an opportunity given to me by somebody I believed that believed in me more than it was like, I don't know, something that I'd like won really, right? Like the fact that I had a spot at that tournament was like because somebody believed in me and stuck their neck out to give me a spot. It wasn't like, I don't know, I didn't like compete for the spot. I didn't like try out for the thing. So like the accolade of it just didn't really feel right to me and never really has. Like again, like the night shit, it really like it should, I feel like, have interested in me more than it did, and it just kind of didn't.
Interesting. Do you think that there should be knighting and a tradition or a system, or what do you think?
I might be a little bit too much of an anarchist to think that we should all be walking around wearing a rank insignia. Um, and like also like we don't really have like a rank system like in judo or jiu-jitsu. And the white belt almost feels like that more than it feels like anything else. Like it feels like some kind of a like, oh, like I've done something impressive. I've achieved a level that commands respect. Um, and like I don't know if I was at that point, like when I like went and fought overseas, like I still very much felt like a novice in the sport. Like our last fight as the War Pigs was against White Company, and it was a nightmare. We got crushed to death, dude. Um, and like that, like after like we went through pools, and I felt like I was killing people left and right. And then we got to the like elimination bracket, and we were like, hey, it'd be funny is if we like pulled one of the pedestal teams just right out of the gate. And immediately we got White Company, and we're immediately knocked out. Um, and Man, them's the breaks. But that was very humbling. Um, uh, and that like very much made me feel like, oh, I still have like a long way to go before I'm like a top tier fighter. So I don't know, like the accolade of it, the like rank insignia, like in the SCA, like you've got to be around for like decades before they make you a knight. It's a very like it actually genuinely carries a lot of like commitment, I guess. Like the only commitment I made was like the money for a plane ticket and wrestling some euros. It didn't feel right, I guess.
So for you, there isn't enough tradition or enough barriers for you to feel accomplished from it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Is there an event or a medal or an accolade that you've gotten that because you had to earn it because the barriers were so thick or so high that it's extra special to you?
Mm, we got in 2025, Dominus got oh no, that was 2024. We got the like Bohurt Buhurt League, Buhurt International Conference Champion medal, which was like a cool medal of the Buhurt International logo with like the clap visor and the maroon. And that was like my first full year fighting with Dominus. It was like I fought with Dominus at I think everything they did in 2024. And we like got that like conference champion medal. And like that one, that's actually like one of the few medals like I genuinely care about. A lot of the medals are like a cheap little trophy thing that has like a sticker on the back of it. Um, but this was like, first of all, cool medal design and emblematic of my first year fighting with like the competitive team. In a year where I did fairly well for myself. Um, it was like that's the first one that felt like right, like I worked for it. Um, Genuinely and truly.
So you fought in a few times overseas. Uh, when you're overseas, when you're beating up Europeans at their house in a castle or a fortress,
It's the
um,
best, dude.
it's the best. Big fan, right? Do you feel, are you representing yourself? Are you representing America? How does it feel to represent your home team, to represent USA, to represent yourself? What is going through your mind when you're at these events? Is it just a cool thing, or do you see yourself as representing the sport that we have over here as a whole?
There's definitely an element of like representing American Bohurt. Um, Especially with like I mean, I guess like the Dominus ethos was always like beat the dude by doing something cool and then offer to teach him the cool thing. Like make the point that what you're doing is good and works, and then like share it. So like competing overseas is the opportunity to be like, hey, American Bohurt is onto something. We're doing something cool. We have good strategies. We're innovating in a way that works, and you should try it. And if you beat them hard enough, they want to try your stuff. And that's really cool. That's it.
Uh, who is on the current Dominus roster as we look forward to hopefully Dominus's next performance? Who's on the
Uh,
roster? Who's in the connection? Does that matter? How is it? How is it all put together? How is the team decided?
um, okay. Official answer, who's on the Dominus like Buhurt international roster? I think Craig might still be, but like almost nobody right now because we're
Okay.
all registered with our home teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Who is like part of the Dominus network? There's like 18 or 20 people. Um, there's some guys from Kenyas, there's some guys from the Dragoons. Um, I don't know. It'd take a second for to name them all, but there's some people that have fought for Dominus all of one time, but like they're still part of the network. They like um, like do you know Nick Huey?
I'm aware of Nick Huey.
Yeah, Nick Huey fights with Kenyas. Used to fight with Ordo. Was also an attendee of Balls, and like he uh made the like social connection. He trained the things that we were training. He employed the tactics. The like binding thing with Dominus was like getting people who train with the same uh like victory condition, I guess. Like they train for the same thing. They train the same strategy. Because we couldn't like train together all the time. It was like basically like we studied the same curriculum. Um, and I a lot of the that and like sport building was very like central to Dominus. It's like we want people that are like contributing to the sport. Um, so there are people that have only fought for Dominus one time at like AMCF. Um, and it's really like more a network than a roster at this point. the roster for a tournament is decided by basically like, hey, um, like the captain of Dominus, Joseph now, like get in our group chat and be like, hey, we're interested in competing at thus and such an event. Who would be available to do that? Who wants in? Who wants to do it? And uh, I don't know that there has ever been a time when we've had like too many people that want to do it. Um, so I don't know, like, I don't know, genuinely don't know how it would work if like 12 people wanted to go to this event and only eight of us could. Um, Normally, we either get the eight or we go a man short,
Okay.
or we've had mercs,
Or
guests.
let's zoom down or pivot over to now Soldados is going to IMCF Worlds. How is the roster select that? How have you put together the guys that you're currently competing with? What you're going to hope? I'm sure you're hoping to get gold, and you've got quite the roster that I'm aware of. How is that roster put together?
Um, so the roster as it stands, is our four Santa Barbara Ventura guys. That's me, Kyle Lee, Joseph, and Wild Brant. Um, we've also got Yanni, who's up in Monterey. That was originally formed like a social connection. He moved from Omaha to Monterey. I was like, hey, dude, you live close to us now. You should come fight with us. And he did. And it was great. So we wanted that to keep happening. Um, and then we've got Kyle Olson. Um, really similar thing. His team, the Montana team, the Sun Eaters, don't like travel a lot for competition, and Kyle wanted to travel a lot for competition. So when Rat Pack or Pale Tempest wasn't going to something like California Classic, we're like, hey Kyle, you should come fight with us. It'd be fun. And then he did, and it was really cool, and we wanted that to keep happening. Um, then we've got Bill Woodbury. Bill, we know through Dominus. We know he always wants to go punch Europeans and eat part of a castle. Um, and he was immediately like very down to come with us to IMCF. Um, and then originally we had Chris Simpson and Pete Moe. Um, Pete was in a motorcycle accident, which is why we
Shout
ended
out
up
Pete. Get
which
well
is why we
soon.
ended up roping Yanni in for Worlds. And Chris Simpson um, uh, is like a distant cousin of the captain of the Irish Buhurt team, um, I think.
Okay.
Uh, and he's gonna go fight for them. So he like came with us to IMCF. He was like, just so you know, I am like gonna be fighting with the Irish team. And we're like, it's cool. Come fight with us anyway. So in his stead, we got Johnny Porter, who we also know because Dominus was also in the Dominus loop. Um,
Yeah. And Johnny.
and yeah, I mean, enough said. If you have the opportunity to get Johnny Porter on your team, I reckon most people would probably do that. Um,
Literally, who else? Maybe the greatest fighter in our sport. So you're, from what I've seen, in a position of leadership on your team. Um, Now that you've, let's say, come full circle and you see yourself coaching, you see yourself moving down the road, sort of say, of what the sport should be progressing into. What does it mean to you, having gone from I want to do cool night shit to now you're in a position of leadership? What's your mindset? How do you feel about being in leadership now?
well, now I'm teaching other people to do cool night shit. Like it turns out doing cool night shit was being good at Bohurt. Um, I guess like the coach of our team. We sort of like I guess lead by like triumvirate. Mark Sanders is like our administrative captain.
Mhm.
Joseph is our like field captain, and I guess I'm sort of our like coach vice captain. We don't have any like titles or anything. That's just sort of the role we fill.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I really like I enjoy the teaching aspect of it. I think that's like important to my development as a fighter. Um, and it's also like it's kind of like a different set of problems to solve, you know, because like I have to coach somebody like significantly shorter and lighter than me. Like, how can I make that guy dangerous? Like, how can I make that guy a threat? Like, that's a whole new like set of puzzles that I haven't worked on before. Be like, um, and it's fun. It's engaging. It's rewarding. It feels really good to like help people enjoy Bohurt, to help people do what they want to do in the sport and have a good time doing it and feel like they are a part of something in the sport.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's zero in on rewarding. There's the reign of dominus, uh, but now everyone's kind of gone to their building up their homegrown team. And I see this as you guys are going to IMCF Worlds. I think you guys have a great shot of winning after having fought White Company myself and their current roster. Uh, I'm wondering, is it more special to have been on maybe the greatest team ever, or is it more special to have built up your homegrown California boys team, including Johnny, because we still claim him for California. Is it more special that you built up the homegrown team to go take a world's title?
That's an interesting question. I don't know about special. I think I'm prouder of it. Um,
That's what special means.
because like I don't know, but like being a part of the group that like helped like bring American Bohurt to greatness was like really cool. Um, but I just in like the last couple competitions I did with Dominus, I stopped feeling like the little brother on that team. Like it was like a team full of killers, and a lot of times I like felt like I wasn't doing enough. Um, and building up my own team and doing cool stuff with them is like I feel like I have a much more active part in the success of the team that I'm on. Like it's not just like me trying to like keep up. It's like I can contribute to the performance of the team, both in like in my performance and also in helping train people. Um, and yeah, I'm almost certainly I'd say I'm more proud of that. Like that's something I also just like get more time to work on, you know, because I live near them.
What does it mean to be champion, and what does it feel like to come from a legacy of high performance?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. Like I would not call myself a champion even. Like, yeah, I've won some gold medals, but like I don't know. That's like I never like got into the sport trying to be like the best. Like even when I got competitive about it, it was never like about being the best. It was like I want to like okay, it's cheesy, but like I want to be my best, right?
Okay,
Like only one guy gets to be the best. Like
that's true.
that's real low odds. Like if you're shooting to be the best, like statistically, everybody but one guy is going to be disappointed. But like you can always be the best that you can be. And like that's really what I'm trying to do. I don't know. It's like it's good to win. It's it's like reinforcing to win. It's like, okay, what I'm doing works. Um, but losing makes you work harder, man. Like it's not good to win too much. Like again, like the Dominus like tagline is like humble, right? Like Our patch says humblest. Like it's good to lose a little bit. It keeps you humble. It reminds you that you're not untouchable. It reminds you that you actually do still need to be working hard.
Cali Classic 2025. When you, Brett, and Wild beat the piss out of me.
I think it was just being wild.
No, Brent was there to break my chin strap in the first round because he hit
Oh
me
yeah,
in the
yeah,
head
yeah.
so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, he does that.
Uh,
Be
I
lucky
was
it's only
fine
his chin
though.
strap he broke.
I was fine. I think that that was definitely a tournament to show me the path forward.
Yeah.
To figure out that there's not just winning practice, sort of say, but to that there's definitely different levels and a bunch of thinking about athletics and tactics rather than just jumping at someone and trying to tear their head off.
Yeah. And it's like it's a potential to like circumvent great talent. Like how many years of judo do you have?
11, I think.
Okay. I have 6 years of Buhurt, maybe four of which I've seriously tried to like learn grappling. Um, like just like time investment alone, let alone like the levels of coaching that we've had. Like, uh, that's like a hard grappling matchup for me. But like teamwork really lets you circumvent the fact that you're a better grappler than me a lot. Like
Yeah,
it can completely negate the fact that that's a bad matchup, and that's like that's the stuff. That's that teamwork shit, man.
that's some of the secret sauce.
Yeah.
What is some of the, let's say, secret sauce that doesn't come across when you're just, with the guys you have at home that you get to coach in Soldados versus the information you're spreading as Dominus? What's part of the thing that just is difficult to come across to push out to the zeitgeist of Buhurt?
Um, I guess like the fundamental of like being a humble fighter, like being willing to sacrifice your own performance for your team's performance, being willing to like not get the kill, being willing to not do the cool thing, to like not like get the highlight reel is like kind of being willing to like check your ego and just like be a little bit boring so your team can win. Um, it's like that's a hard thing to communicate. Like that's kind of something you've like got to like learn for yourself. Um, but like that willingness to like um not focus on yourself too much. And like that's really hard to do on a team where there's like a pressure on you to be the guy that makes things happen because then you're like incentivized to take these risks and to do like over the top things to try and get the thing. Um, and having a team that you have a little bit more confidence in really is like, okay, I can dial back and not like somebody else can do the cool thing. Like I can set somebody up for the kill. Like I can make this easier for my teammate and thus the team wins. So like setting aside your own performance for your team's performance. That's the secret sauce. That's the secret humble sauce.
Of the stuff that you've taught that you that let's say Dominus pushes out that everyone gets it, let's say, but what is the one thing that is the most important thing amongst all the techniques and strategies and plays? What is the one thing that is this is the thing that needs to be highlighted the most?
Um, Dang, the one thing is like I'm sorry, can you ask me that again? Can you rephrase that maybe?
What's the most important thing that is taught from your style of teaching?
What's the one
Mm.
thing that this is the key? This is the capstone or the cornerstone.
Um, it's always more efficient for you to work as a team for a takedown than it is for you to execute a good technique, like a good solo technique. It is almost always, especially in high level competition, less work for you to 2v1 than it is for you to 1v1. That's like the base fundamental goal. It's like you should not be looking for a one-on-one kill. That should not be your plan A. Like that should be your plan B. Your plan A is that you're 2v1ing a guy because it's easier. Your plan B is like, also, I have a 6 foot trip. Like that should be your backup option. Ideally, you teamwork a guy.
So you're uh, a high level fighter. So, and you have a certain amount of acclaim in the sport. Other than the fact of being well known, what's the other reason you think that you get murking or get to fight with these other teams, have these opportunities?
It's like it's social, really. Like I'm not getting like random invites from like the Palmetto Knights to come fight with them at their next tournament. Like it's people I've talked to on like the community Discord or at a training event, or one of us did a good grappling to the other and we talked about it at a tournament and they were like, you should come fight with us sometime. Um, Pretty much like the same way that like we've made connections with like Yanni and Kyle Olson. It's like they're people that we encountered in the sport in other ways, and we liked them and wanted them to come fight with us, and they did. And that's pretty much what, for the most part, what people have done to get me to fight with them.
Would you accept a awesome possums or palmetto knights or uh a plague rats opportunity to go murk for them?
I mean, it's a good
Like let's
question
say
because
let's say
would it be a good tournament?
Siege is going down and a team that you wouldn't normally think would ask you, but they're like, hey, why don't we try to get this guy that is one of the guys? Why don't we have him come work for us? Because we usually don't go to Siege as West Coasters. So
Yeah, yeah. Like it depends on. I mean, I guess it depends on the team and it depends on the tournament. Because like I wouldn't want to go fight on a team in like a competitive tournament where like they're like, oh, like he's the ringer, like he's gonna do this stuff. Like that feeling sucks. Like you don't want to be that guy. Like that's an awful experience. Um, but if it was like an opportunity to like, oh, like these guys are like they're actually doing really well in competition and like the tournament that they're going to is like really appropriate for their skill level. Like it actually would be like a competitive scene. Like it would be a lot of fun to go fight with those guys. Like yeah, I'd probably do that. Yeah. Like part of the reason we Joseph and I fought for the executioners at Carnage was that was our best opportunity at going to Carnage and competing with a team in a way that would like make the whole bracket better. You know, like if we had been on like another like Dominus associated team, like if we had gone and fought with the Vagabonds, like that would have been that would have tipped the scales really hard. But like fighting with a team we don't normally fight with that doesn't necessarily like utilize us the way we normally work makes that bracket suddenly way more competitive. Um, and that was absolutely worth it. That was a really fun bracket. There were no bad fights in that bracket.
so you just made the statement of you don't want to be the guy to go and try to be the hero. Let's just call it the hero on the team.
Yeah.
The guy that they're relying on. Um, uh, you say that would suck. Now, can you expand on your feelings about that? Why is it a team that you don't normally fight with? Maybe it's been the first time fighting with them. Uh, you're kind of expecting to be the man. This seems like the situation Johnny is in commonly. If you get Johnny Porter, you're
Probably,
expecting
yeah,
him to be Johnny Porter. Why would
yeah.
this situation suck? Why do you think the pressure of that is bad or whatever?
Um, because people are like too focused on like, oh, like he's gonna make a play. Like, let's see what he does. Like, let's see what he does, and we'll follow suit. We'll follow his lead. Then there's like, um, first of all, everyone on the field is paying attention to that guy, right? Because like the enemy team is like, oh, it's this normal team, but they've got Johnny Porter. Like, we clearly need to pay attention to that guy. And also, that team you're on is like, all right, and we've got Johnny Porter. Let's see what he does. So, like, from all angles, there's this pressure of like, you've got to do something. Like, you've got to make a play, and everybody's going to pay attention to it, which makes it really hard to enact anything that people aren't expecting because everybody's paying attention to you. And that, like, can kind of shut somebody down before they even start fighting. Um, and then like they kind of get swamped and they can't enact their strategy. And then everybody else, like their plan A has just failed. Their plan A was like, well, the ringer's going to get a kill and then like we'll have the numbers advantage and they will win. But then the ringer gets bogged down and suddenly we're now down to this original team trying to get a 1v1 kill to even it up or start a numbers advantage. And it's just like it's not real fun.
Okay. Let's get back to um let's say our homegrown team. There's the physical preparation, our regular workouts that we're doing. I'm on my own system, my own training plan. But let's say there's our regional level event, then there's, Carnage, and then there's going to IMCF Worlds. Is there any difference between the team and personal preparation physically between those three levels of events?
No, not really. Again, like I'm uh I'm always trying to be like the best Buhurt fighter I can be. Whether I'm like training to go to Cali Classic and take both your weapons away,
You
or
can
whether
chop me in the
I'm
hand like 10 times.
or if we're going to
It took two
Worlds,
of you.
like
Every time it took two of you.
not last time. And it's it's always trying to be the best that you can be. It's always trying to bring your A game. It's always trying to like um, perform uh, in the completest way that you can as per your training. It should all like your it should always be like the culmination of everything you've been working on. And I like occasionally I get like I'll focus more on one aspect than another because of like the either like the event we're going to like training specifically for like the way that like European fighters fight, the way that way the European Bohurt meta is, as opposed to like Carnage. Um, but it's the same intensity, it's the same ethos. It's just like, maybe a difference in like what positions we're doing positionals in. Um, and or like something that like I'm particularly trying to work on. Like if there's something like I'm trying to add into my game specifically for a tournament, maybe like I'll focus more on that.
What we had a short discussion about jujitsu and its efficacy in Buhurt. Now, my point of view has been that I think that the cross training is so limited that there's other things you could do just in the gym by yourself that would be more effective for Buhurt. What is your opinion on jujitsu training as a side training to your once a week or twice a week of Buhurt?
So the place I go offers jujitsu and Muay Thai, and I do both. Um, I think the benefit of jujitsu is an indirect one for the most part. If your gym does a lot of stand up, it can have a lot of the same benefits as judo. Um, so to some degree, and I am lucky in my gym that we do a lot of stand up, so I do get a lot of fairly one-to-one wrestling time. Um, but what jujitsu does that I really like is like it teaches you um, to analyze your position and to grind for position. Like it's a slower game, and often Bohurt is a slower game. Um, the presence of the rail and the presence of other people and the need for you to keep your attention elsewhere means that you can't necessarily like hyper focus on that one guy, and you can't necessarily um, rely on explosive movements and long setups to get a takedown on a guy. Sometimes you just have to do like a long, ugly grind for position, slowly breaking his posture and advancing your grips until you have control of the situation, and then you can enact a takedown. It teaches you like a good, like slow, methodical pace for controlling another person that uh I don't know that judo does.
In my opinion, the way that judo training versus judo tournament are so much different because we have sudden death in judo. As soon as you throw, the match is over if they've landed on the back in the correct way.
Yeah.
But in our judo training, because the throw that you get in the 4 to 5.5 minutes per round, you're doing 10 to 20 rounds depending on the club. The throw you get doesn't matter because the guy stands back up and you keep fighting. So but he just learned the throw that you do, uh, and he should know, or they should know. Then okay, now I need to watch this. Then you are, in my opinion, especially with grips, you are grinding for. It's from my point of view, it's always a grind, especially with the guys I train with, and we know each other so well, my judo partners, that I know his 5 throws and he knows my 2 throws so well that it's 4 or 5 minutes of sometimes stale for months
Yeah.
until someone will throw someone.
By
So
no means do I think that jiu-jitsu is the only place you can learn that. I think like any grappling arts are going to provide you some benefit. But I think the lack of like a good like one-to-one, because we're not like rolling around on the ground trying to break each other's knees or strangle each other, like because there's no like direct one-to-one training with Bohurt, I think people are quick to discount the value of jujitsu as a cross-training option. But like it's the most plentiful cross-training option. Like there's no judo in Ventura, California. There's no judo in Santa Barbara, California. Um, for a lot of people, the available thing is going to be jujitsu. And if that's what you have, like you should do that. It can teach you good things. Um, I think personally, the blend of jujitsu and Muay Thai is actually like a fairly well-rounded base. I think Muay Thai fills in a lot of the holes of jujitsu as far as like one-to-one training.
so when we go to events together, a lot of times, sometimes it's me, Barron, Zale, my squire Jill. It's it's us four. You're there, and you end up cornering a bunch of us. What do you think makes for a good corner coach in both duels and um, pro fights, outrons?
Um, I think first of all, calm presence, as like a character trait, I guess. Um, I don't super believe in hype. Um, uh, Not that I don't think it exists, but I don't I don't like it. Um, I think a calming presence is good. I think being able to um, read the fight and uh, know what to tell your specific coachee about their specific opponent. Because like you don't want to like teach them too you don't want to tell them too much. You don't want to be like teaching them a technique. You don't want to be trying to get them to do something they've never done before. Like you want to find the weakness their opponent is exposing and what tool they have to exploit that weakness. And you want to keep that concise because like fighter brain is real. And if you get back to your corner and somebody's just telling you everything you did wrong and what you should do in the next round for the minute break you get, you're not going to come into that next round focused and on target. Um, I think when I corner coach, I run people through a recovery breathing exercise and I try and explain what weakness I think their opponent is exposing and what tool they should use to take advantage of it. And I try and mostly leave it at that unless I see something glaring. Um, I don't think it's a good idea to tell people whether they're winning or losing, if especially like if it's close. Like don't have them focused on whether they're winning or losing. Um, if they ask, like whatever, I'll tell them. But just have them focused on like what they need to do in the next round. Be like, that was great, but you need more volume. Like that was great, but you need to tighten up your defense. Um, Giving them digestible information and then helping them come into the next round calm.
So we talked the last time we hung out about a little bit about who's the best fighter. And you said, I believe, Jake Taylor.
Yeah, I think it might be Jake Taylor. I think
Wh-
probably everybody's answer is Colin Campbell, and that's a great pick. Colin Campbell is a monster. I have absolutely no argument with the claim that Colin Campbell is the best Buhurt fighter in the world. But my pick might be Jake.
What is Jake known for, and why could he be the best?
Jake's the captain of Kraken, one of the teams in Australia. And first of all, he's also a very accomplished coach. Um, I think most of the best Buhurt fighters are. Um, and he's been fighting for a really long time, and to me, he has like almost like a very like old school style. You know, like um, I was seeing him do like old school like rail throws last year at um Buhurt International World Cup. Um, and like people kind of like haven't done those since since you could hook the rail. And like he's still pulling them off. Like and it's just like kind of a flashy old technique. It looks good. It's like a Harai Goshi on the rail. Um, and uh I saw him like 3v1 and win. Um, he's an endlessly creative fighter. His strategy is really solid. He's taught a lot of people to be really good. Australia's Buhurt scene has exploded. Um, yeah, man, he's I think an inspirational fighter.
So
Great
I
pro
have in
fighter
my
too. He
notes,
doesn't pro fight a lot, but he's a great pro fighter too.
I have in my notes when I was talking to someone about interviewing you, they said to ask you about the Colin Jake Taylor story. Do you know what they're referring to?
I don't.
Yeah, I wish I would have asked them to elaborate. All right, I'll cut that part. All right. Uh, we have knighting. We have maybe an idea of chivalry. We have a certain way we treat each other as Americans versus how we treat each other in the list. as Americans versus Europeans. Uh, this has an idea around morality, let's say. What does the morality of advancing the sport mean to you? How does the responsibility come about for us advancing the sport?
I don't know that I feel like a moral compunction to advance the sport. Um, the sport has done a lot for me personally, outside of fighting. I think being a part of the sport and the benefits I have reaped from being in it have made me a better person in a lot of ways. And uh, I feel the personal need to not be a parasite in that manner and to give something back to the sport that gave me a lot of things I like. Um, and yeah, that's like a personal compunction. I don't feel like that's like an external moral imperative that I build the sport, but like it did a lot for me. I would like to do something for it.
There has been over the last year a number of social fouls done where guys have been either removed by BI or removed socially from teams for uh, moral infractions. So there's these things that some of these fighters are doing with evidence or without evidence. Um, and when they get removed from the sport or they get removed socially, should there ever be a path back, path to healing? Oh, I've changed. I've done these things. Look at how I've corrected my attitudes. Or is it there's a line, you crossed it once, now you're done with us forever?
In general, as a human, I think there should always be a road back. But I think, like, as a member of a community, if you cause a particular degree of harm in that community, it is not necessarily reasonable to expect them to ever trust you to be a part of it again. And in a community that, like, what we do is separated from assault and battery by the perilously thin line of consent. And if like and several of these like banishments have been fundamentally about like the disrespect of consent. Um, if you are part of a community that is held together by consent and you prove yourself to either like outside the sport be violating consent or within the sport violating consent, I think it's very reasonable that that community of people cannot trust you in a consent situation anymore. And for most people, like there should be a road back, but like people are people and like people don't have a responsibility to forgive you for harm you did to them. And yeah, that's what I got.
We were just on track for a serious part right there. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back to
I was
some
waiting for the drama question. It had to
uh
happen.
I as guys know, some of the extreme frequent aggressive listeners, that I cut out a lot of the drama talk. But I let the guys gab on here, just keep the conversation flowing. I want to bring it back to some new fighters. Let's say there's beer league fighters that they're making the transition. My team, we are getting our bottoms beat, but me as an individual or me and my specific guy that I work with, it's time for us to become competitive. What do they change from being a beer league player to it's time to get serious about getting medals and about our performance? What do they change in their preparation?
Um, first is like the obvious answer, fitness. Like you got to be working on it. Fitness is just like a bar you have to step over to be good at the sport. Bottom line. Um, I think embracing sports optimal decisions makes a big difference. Um, if you are not willing to give up uh, some cool factor for more optimal decisions, you will be constantly fighting an uphill battle. That's not to say you can't be a great fighter and wear a hound skull. It's just gonna make your whole development way harder the whole time. So
Shut up,
like, yeah,
Alexander Robinson.
right. Like in time, you may well be good. If you're putting in the work, you'll get good. But there will always be like that ball around your ankle. Um, if you like insist on using a like max weight halberd all the time, you're like, yeah, that's kind of like the hardest way you could go about learning the sport. So if you're really serious, if you're a beer league guy and you want to be competitive, like start off by making competitive decisions about your gear because it impacts the way that you are going to approach the sport. And get rid of as many obstacles as you can before you start trying to be competitive. Um, that way, like like your training time is optimized, I guess. Like there are as few obstacles on your journey as possible. Um, like yeah.
Let me take a big step out on questions here and go with one that it means something to me in terms of my lifestyle as someone who is competitive, is a competitor in both my sports. Um, is for you and the way that you go about your training, is there a spiritual aspect or a almost religious aspect to the way you conduct your life around being a combatant, a warrior, a competitor in a very violent sport?
I don't know. Like not really, but I wish there was. Like I've always had a hard time committing to the belief of like rituals. Um but like man, aesthetically I love ritual. Like rituals go hard, man. Um but I can't say that there's like really much of like a spiritual element to what I do. Um it's like the closest I can say is like doing it at like as a way to enjoy your life. Like it is a way to derive fulfillment from life outside the need to make money or like build something. It's like it is just a pure, simple, dumb, ridiculous hobby that's gonna cost you a bunch of money. Like it's I don't know. I think Bohurt's very pure in that way. It's one of the best things you can do purely for fun.
Is there uh, a point where you have to change your lifestyle in terms of dedication to be a great fighter, which could reduce your fun that you're having right now versus the satisfaction that you can derive from being a great fighter and going and winning championships?
That's a good question. Um, I think there's definitely a balance to be struck, right? Like, you definitely have to be willing to put in some time to work that you might in the moment not really want to put in. Like you have to be willing to make the sacrifice of like committing to showing up to practice. Like um, there is an element of sacrifice. Like you will not be good at Bohurt if you do it once a month. Um, but I also very much think that going too hard with it would badly damage your enjoyment of it. Um, yeah, there's a balance to be struck for sure. Like, especially in the situation we're in, where it's like you can't like really necessarily like make your living as a Bohurt fighter. So like we can't truly. I mean, I guess you could. Like you could train as a professional, like you know, but like having to have a full-time job and also train full-time as an athlete is like a very expensive thing to do. Um, and like that's not super accessible in our sport yet. So I think like where we are, if you want to be good, you have to be willing to make some sacrifice yourself to kind of reach for what we don't have in the sport yet. Um, but at the same time, there's like not a lot of infrastructure to support you, which can make that an extremely exhausting attempt if you're not having fun with it. If you're training so much that it becomes like purely an obligation, um, I don't think you're gonna stick around real long.
So for me, in the level of the sport that Buhurt is at, unprofessional, very few fighters make any money at all, really. I don't think anyone really is making a living off just fighting. For me, there is a spiritual aspect to fighting. There is satisfaction level with coming uh, into contact with great fighters and with medaling and with performing at my best. And like you said earlier, there's a certain purity to the sacrifice it takes to be great at our silly little night fights. Um, when the sport evolves into a professional sport where guys are making 100,000, 200,000, maybe even in the future, $1 million contracts a year to fight for the San Francisco or the LA team, does that remove the purity of doing the sport for the love of the game? Does it change the ability to have a spiritual aspect, or does it become a business? Does it become billionaires controlling people's lives through these multi-million-dollar contracts and advertising and t-shirts and Nike deals and Under Armour deals, or does the purity always stay?
Yeah, I think it ruins it a little bit. Yeah, 100%. And like, I'm personally very split on this because like, do I want to see Bohurt explode? Do I want to see Bohurt have like infrastructure? Do I want to be able to do Bohurt full time? Do I want to be able to like train seriously with fucking coaches with like infrastructure? Yes, that would be awesome. But uh yeah, you gotta sell out to fucking Body Armor or Monster Energy to do that. Like, and uh you see it happen with like UFC. Like personally, I think there was a little more magic to UFC when it was insane. Like when it became like well regulated and money was put into it and it got objectively like better, I think it did lose a little bit of its soul. And I do worry that that would happen to Bohurt also if it exploded, if it like really like became a super popular, profitable sport. I do think a lot of its soul would go with it.
Mm. Is I see the sport as still very much so. We're through a first phase. There was a time before the level we're at now. People talk about, oh, this time this thing's happened, which may have even been pre-COVID. But I see us still as very young sport for where it could be. I think that
Extremely.
there's there's levels that the plays matter, the teamwork matters a lot. But I think there's 4 or 5 moves ahead of levels that the person that maybe even changes the sport to such an intelligent aspect might not even be born yet. I think there's so many more levels of possibility to come. How do we at our level push to get to that level that we don't know exists yet? Or do we well, let me rephrase it. Are we always trying to push the innovation, or are we trying to hone what we have now?
I think generally speaking, like innovation is the way. That's like I think it's something people feel very divided about. Like some people really do focus on like skill honing, and some people focus on skill innovation. Um, and and for my money, first of all, I think innovation is more fun. So like obviously that's the one I'm going to choose. But also I think innovation um is required to create new things in the sport. You know, like as long as there are good things in the sport, there are things to hone. But when like if everybody were to hone, like we would be lacking that innovation. Um, so I innovation's my pick. Um, I think it's more fun. I think it pushes the sport further.
I skipped a question I wanted to ask you in the heat of the conversation. But so you're going to IMCF Worlds as Soldados with the guys that you've been developing with. What will it? I'm sure you're going to go and compete at your best, but what would it mean to you? Would it be particularly special to win?
Would it be particularly special to win the IMCF World Championship with my hometown team? Yes, yes, 100%, absolutely. Um, when I started with the Soldados, we had never fielded a melee team. There were 4 of us. Um, I don't actually know why we even had surcoats. I guess for like demo events. We had never fielded a melee team. We didn't field a melee team for the first 3 years that our team existed. Our first field was in 2023. Um, and I don't know. I kind of never, I never thought like that we would really take it to this level. Especially when I started fighting with Dominus. I was like, all right, so like I've got my regional team and I've got this team I go do international and like national level events with. Um, and our local team and the roster of guys we have fighting with us on the regular, um, got so fun to play with at high level, um, that suddenly like kind of doors open for us a little bit. And it seemed like we could do more, and we decided to go on this like international run. Um, and I also have had like a hand in teaching these guys and developing like the strategy of this team and in making us better. And yeah, winning the big show with those guys would be really, really cool.
So we got to fight together for Pale Tempest at Potato Mash. Now, in my perspective, when I'm in the list, I'm very relaxed. I focus on my breathing, or at least I tell myself I am, especially when I had this mental switch about switching my judo style, which now I use my judo style in Buhurt, about this relaxation. We talked a little bit about hype earlier. Are you coming at in the list fighting? Are you trying to stay all really relaxed? Are you trying to get your max adrenaline out? What's going through your mind when, let's say, we're at the beginning of a fight?
I try and be as calm as possible. Any like hype or excitement turns into like nervous energy for me really, really quick. And then like I start like thinking too much. I'm like, oh, I don't know, that guy's kind of big. Like maybe I shouldn't do what I was gonna do. Maybe I should. Um, and if I'm calm, we just start the fight and I go with the flow and I do what seems right in the moment, and it works out for me pretty well. So I try and be as calm as I can be. I'll even like kind of fake it between rounds. It's like, I don't know, sort of a little fake it till you make it. But like you'll see me a lot of times, like I'll go up in the corner of the list and like put my arms up and like post out and try and look chill. And like half of that is like, don't let them know you're tired. Like look relaxed. But some of it is also just like be relaxed. Like genuinely like relax between rounds. Like calm your breathing down, get comfortable. Like calm down a little bit from the high adrenaline and like get ready to flow into the next round.
Let's say we're mid-fight. Um, we're in the shit. Let's say we're down to a 3-on-2 or maybe in a 4-on-2 against it's you and one of your guys against 3 or 4 guys. Um, what is going through your mind? What is going through, if anything, what are you experiencing when the shit is hitting the fan?
Um, at that point, it becomes a matter of like it's time to take risks. Like as I'm sure your recent experience has taught you, like 2v4 is winnable with the right strategy, with the right like play, with like you can win that. Um, the shit's hitting the fan, but like it's not over till the fat lady sings, man. Like try and figure it out. You're in a bad spot. You can't afford to go slow anymore. You have to take whatever opportunities are available to you. You have to try and even that out. You have to try and make something happen. The longer you wait, the worse their advantage is going to be.
As a coach, I've seen one of the worst things watching all the footage at Siege and watching all the footage at Carnage back is that when things get tough, you could see even through a guy's armor that they get like demoralized.
Yeah.
As a coach, what are you doing with your team to, if you are, to get guys away from any time where when you're in the shit that thinking that you can't win and getting demoralized mid fight?
I don't know that we really focus on that. I can't say we've ever like had a horrible issue with it. Um, I suppose it's lead by example. Um, we lose rounds occasionally. It happens. Last Mega Bowl, we did terribly. Um, and it's important to just go to the next round. Yeah, man, that round sucked. We got outplayed. We did something dumb. Like sometimes just like, lightning strikes and it's a perfect storm and it's chaos and you lose a round you shouldn't have lost. Um, and you just got to shake it off and go to the next round. Like play your cards better. Like change your lineup. A lot of times when we drop a round we shouldn't have dropped, it's because we made like a bad lineup call that we like didn't play our matchup right. We used the wrong strategy for the lineup that we fielded. Um and uh kind of being able to shake that off and make the adjustment is like it's part of the game. Losing pushes you to be better. It is not an abhorrent thing to lose. Like it is part of the game to lose. Um, and I guess what you're talking about, like being able to see somebody like physically demoralized. I was sort of talking about this with my like tacky lean on the rail. It's like don't let them know you're tired. Like even if you're winded, even if you're having a miserable time, like don't telegraph that. Like fake it till you make it. Like truly like you probably aren't as tired as you feel. You're worn out, you lost a round, you don't want to do it anymore. But like, don't telegraph it.
You've been fighting for around 6 years, right?
Yeah.
What is one of the most notable overseas fights that sticks out to you as particularly memorable?
Um, at Buhurt League World Cup, I had two fights that there were three fights I think I really I really liked. One was our match against the Italian Bastards. Um, uh, that round was like the first like I think we ended up going 4 rounds with them. Um, and it was like the first real challenge we had in our pool. It was genuinely hard. They were a really good team. Um, it was our first taste of like Europeans that could beat us. Um, and that was fun, and I think I did well in that match. I head ripped a guy with his own axe, which felt pretty wicked. Like as he was reaching for his like secondary, I like grabbed it out of his hand, and with his hand still on it, like head ripped him. That's that's probably one of the cooler things I've done in the sport. Um, and then subsequent to that, our match against Iron Dome, the Israeli team. I played well and also I played smart. Like both technically and like it came down to like the classic situation of like the last guy on their team up is the runner, and there's two of us, and the runner's like trying to bait us into open field or like where there's a bunch of bodies. Um, and I normally would like chase that guy and fall right into that trap because I'm an idiot. And in that match, I like stayed cool and kept us on the rail and like played our cards a little bit better. Um, and then the 30v30 at Buhurt League World Cup. Um, it's like all a blur. It was a lot of fighting, and I was like resting my head on an axe between rounds and like genuinely taking a nap between rounds. Um, and it was wild, man. It's like it's the most it's ever felt like a battle. It's like there's a bunch of dudes in front of you yelling in like Czech and Polish, and you don't understand what they're saying, but they're hitting you, and like um, you'll hear the occasional like mockery in English coming from their lines, and like there's people behind you like yelling like hold the line. Like it was crazy. It felt like a battle. It had been like raining on us and it was muddy. I was tired and miserable, and I was like, oh, like this is what it was like. This is like the closest we've gotten to LARPing nights. Um and yeah, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Um Yeah, I remember that 30v30 strongly. I have not done 30v30 since. Don't know if I would.
So you fought with war pigs overseas, correct?
Yeah.
I hear from uh fighters. My first tournament was war pigs last, and I hear from fighters from all over California about, oh, something something, the old war pig days. Was that a special time for you going over there with them? What was it like being on the war pigs and being one of the USA teams?
Well, the team we were on was like three dudes from Colorado, um, four war pigs and me. Um, Thank you, bastard cat. Um, but most of the guys on the war pigs I had fought with in ACW before. as the Pacific Grizzlies. Um, so I was already like fairly well acquainted with Santos and Dylan, um, and that part felt fairly familiar, really. Um,
Was Jay Tesla on this team?
Jay Tesla was not on this team. Our other two were Zale and Eric Tafoya.
Eric Tafoya.
Um, and then the three guys from Colorado, Greg Fisher, Ian Webb, and Jeff Von Lexa. Um, and yeah, so I was fairly comfortable with those guys. We'd fought before, and I kind of knew what to expect of them. Um, yeah, it was good fights. We did better than I thought we would, honestly, and I think we might have done better if we hadn't pulled White Company so immediately.
So you've been around a while. Uh, what is the most amazing thing you've seen another fighter do in the list? The most spectacular, the most
The most
showstopper,
spectacular thing.
or
Mm,
the most thing that, for me, for example, I saw Brian DG at the last Ventura where you guys won, where he's standing against Brant. This is from Golden Knights, Brian, and he is taking an absolute pounding from Brant. You come over for a while, you're pounding on him. He's not going down. He's tripping over bodies. He's staying up. You leave. Wild comes over, pounds on him for a while, and he's the last one up when you guys were fighting. I think it was the second round of Golden Knights. And the amount of punishment he took and continued to fight, I was really, really impressed with him. Just his iron will to resist the amount of punishment. This was for my mentality and the way that I fight, both in judo and in Buhurt. I thought it was a really special something, even though that they lost. The way that he was able to preserve his will and continue for almost a 4 minute fight was really something special.
yeah, man, it's a testament to a tough dude in a fucking cuirass. Like
Yeah.
it's just hard to hurt him. Normally, normally when we transition into trying to hurt people on the soldados, it's with knees to the body. So like genuinely like a guy in a cuirass is like a reasonably good counter against us. Like um I think one of the most spectacular things I've seen somebody do is the way that Colin Campbell Donkey Kongs people when he does ground and pound. He'll basically kneel on their chest and then just start like hammering, hitting them in the leg and the head, like a shield chop and a leg chop, shield chop and a leg chop, and that is like it's so vicious and it's so comical, and that's Colin in a nutshell. He is a comic character, but he's also a vicious motherfucker.
I got to spend some time with some of the Australians that were sent to Oradea
Oh
in
yeah, with
the
tears.
Romania tournament,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
uh, I told them a little bit about this podcast, but they all had a few stories to tell about Colin, which was pretty fun. For you, what's the what's something special for you in your life that's the most amazing thing you've done outside of the list?
Oh dang. Dang, I almost don't know what way to go with that. Most amazing thing I've done outside of the list. Dang, I don't know, like by what metric to say. I've always like had a sort of a knack for fabrication. I've like made a fair number of cool things over the years. Everything from like building sets to like doing some like metal work to like now I've been building bows. Um, and I think like it's it's sort of a modest thing, I guess, but like I think some of the greatest things I've done outside of Bohurt have just been um, you know, making things that I think are like a good reflection of me. Um, like making a little like functional piece of art that has a piece of your personality in it is like I think a very magical thing.
Is there a play between the mindset you have when you're doing your art that would bleed into the list?
A little bit. It's I don't know, the font of Bohurt is creativity and like doing something that only you would do, putting your own like, that's why it's martial arts, right? Like there is an art to it. There is an element of like grace and expression and I'm doing this because it's right for me, because that's what calls to me that like I guess like finding your own um finding what's right for you, finding your own expression in things, is sort of central to both the making of art and the marshaling of art.
Do you feel like your creative outlets are being fulfilled when you're in the list?
Not to the same degree. It's definitely a different it's a different fix. Like making art is like it's very calming, right? Like I have a little garage shop and it's just like I go out there and like put on a little music or a TV show or something, and I like try and make something that like speaks to me that suits what I'm trying to express. And Bohurt's a little more violent than that. It's not like peaceful and calming necessarily. It's I guess um the explosive element of self-expression rather than the peaceful.
So I was talking to Brent a bit about surfing, and because he is an avid surfer,
Indeed.
and I used to do say this thing about surfing long before I knew about Buhurt was that when you're out there, there's no girl back home, there's no car payment,
Yeah.
there's no stress with your kids or at work. There's just you and the wave. In judo, because it became so much of a job for me, I'd say that outside of the few moments at really high level competition, I could get really back into that headspace. Now that I've entered a certain uh, level of competition of compete in Buher, I have felt like I have found that, let's say, serenity in the list. In that, when white companies chop in my hands and uh, wrenching on my neck, or Dylan Sweeney's throwing that two-hander at my face, uh, there's no anything else except the moment I'm in right now. Have
Yeah,
you felt
100%.
that Buhurt has done this for you? And what does it take to be good at this mind phase, let's say, this mentality of when you're in the list?
That's 100%. As soon as you started talking about it, I know exactly what you mean. Um the presence of mind it requires is complete. There is no amount of you that can afford to be distracted. And it's like it's not even hard. It's not like you have to like stop thinking about things. It's like it's just like turns off and you are doing the thing you're doing, and that is all that exists in your world. And it's really a really weirdly like peaceful experience in your head. You're like suddenly like it's all right here. Um, I love that feeling. That's maybe like the most addictive part of like martial arts in general. Active, I don't know, like I think there's an element of risk in it. Like that's I think why surfing does it, but chess probably doesn't. Um, is like there is an element of risk. You have to be engaged in the thing. Your safety is at risk if you get distracted. Um, and yeah, the mental quiet that brings is extremely familiar, and that's something I deeply love about Buhurt.
For me, I feel like when people that get hyped, they get excited. For me, it would be overexcited or overstimulated because my mentality is about relaxation when I'm fighting, about staying mentally calm, keeping my heart rate low, controlling my breathing, that I would not be in my flow state. I don't feel like I'm particularly creative in the list. I feel like I'm not having to make many decisions. It's like I'm almost watching myself, like
Mm.
just through my own eyes. And I feel like the hype, the get too excited takes away from that. Is there, people talk about the switch where when you're in the list, you're not ready to fight, or you're getting hyped, or you take your stims or whatever, it just hits a switch for them. Is that the case for you? Do you see a lot of high level fighters that are on or off or have a switch?
I don't have a Switch. I don't know how many people do. Um, there's definitely like I don't know, like a game time mentality that's just focus, I guess. Um, but I I have not gone to the length of like creating psychological distance, like creating almost like a separate persona that is involved in those things that like oh I become a different person in the list. But like no, it's still me. I'm still me. I'm still doing my stuff. Um, I guess sort of questioning like how much benefit there is to that. That's sort of something I've come to recently is like uh, is there a value in creating that switch for yourself? Um, I have never employed one. I'm like, I guess I'm open to the idea of that being like a good tactic, like a good like tool in your arsenal. But up until this point, I have not really felt the need for it. Um, it feels like when I get on the list, like, I don't know, man, sometimes I can tell that I'm like off, like I'll get in the list and be like, my head's not really in the game right now. That sucks. Um, but I don't have like I don't know. I don't become Nega Alex in the list.
When we were fighting at Potato Mash together, when we were fighting particularly Rat Pack, our fights went a lot longer, so I had the opportunity to talk a lot more shit in the list with those guys. There's a few moments that I have special stories for, and I really enjoyed fighting them. Is there little quips or sayings that you like to use when you're fighting a particularly tough team that makes the experience maybe more enjoyable for you?
Again, like, man, I wish there was. But I do feel like I'm all business in the list. Very
I'm not
occasionally,
all
like
business.
because I try to be relaxed. Occasionally, like people will say things to me, and I will respond with some sense of humor, I guess. But normally I have better things to do than chat to people. Um, Usually like I'll chat to people if there's like a hold or something, and like I'll chat because otherwise it's awkward because like you're like locked up with a guy and you're like not gonna give up the grip just because they called hold, right? Like you're gonna keep that grip, but then they're like deliberating for like 45 seconds or something, and you're just like holding this guy tight to your head. Like then yeah, like I'll talk to the guy, like see how he's doing and stuff. But no normally, if I'm talking to my teammates about how to kill you faster.
I'm still in the situation of being in one-on-ones a lot, so I have a fair amount of gabbing. Uh, our situation there was we did not know how to fight together. What was your mentality of, let's say you're going into a Merc situation and you've got a guy that maybe is a reliable fighter, but you don't know how to fight with him. He doesn't know how to fight with you. What does that change about your approach to going in to fight a tier 1 level team like Rat Pack?
Um, it changes, like, I guess, like, again, I have like a team-centric approach. Like, ideally, I would like to enable other people, um, and myself be enabled. Um, and uh that is like broadly like what I am looking for. And I worry that when I like often when I merc, I feel like I end up being too passive because I am waiting for like, all right, how do I set this guy up for the thing? Um, when in truth, I should probably just get in there. Um, Playing passive has been like a long-term weakness of mine that I've been trying to overcome. Um, I often react to things well, but I often wait way too long for the correct reaction. And that is in my mind an exploitable weakness of mine. Um, and I think that very much comes out when I don't necessarily know what the guy I'm fighting next to is looking for from me. Or I guess like what I could give him that he would read to be able to take advantage of.
Is there a big mental shift or distinction or way of thinking that is better for having great reactions versus making the situation the one that you want? Reacting well to the actions or making what the action is.
There are no perfect rules, but I think it is almost always better to be taking the initiative. I think leaving the initiative on the table in Buhurt is the fastest way to start losing. If you are only reacting to what your opponent is doing, you are entirely trusting that you are better than them to win. Like you've allowed them to do what they wanted to do, and you're hoping that whatever you were going to do is just better. Like it's just a gamble. Um, if you're taking the initiative, you're at least always moving your plan forward. Even if the plan ultimately fails, as long as you are like making the choices, you get to make the next choice. It's hard to like outreact people. Outreacting people really happens when you predict people.
When you're fighting and you're looking for uh, weaknesses or to make a play with your partner or see a situation, are you focusing on the outcome of the fight? Are you focusing on your own performance, what you could do right now, or you can focusing on the moment directly as it is?
Mm. Um, that kind of all plays in. Like you gotta sort of think about the whole equation, the whole algorithm. Um, there's definitely an element of because like sometimes the correct thing is to just go get your solo kill. Like sometimes it's just there. Sometimes you feel it in the guy, and you're like, it's not time to do team stuff. I can outgrapple this guy. Like I can get this guy. I have this. And you gotta forget about the team shit and just get that quick kill and then start going to the team stuff. But likewise, you need to recognize like when you don't got it and like, this is like stalling out. Like I'm either just gonna get stuck here and hope somebody comes for me, or I need to break off of this and try and like trade up in position with someone. Um, so I think like you sort of got to be thinking about all of it. You sort of got to be thinking about like whether you're better off right now doing your 1v1, going for a 2v2, or just trying to switch positions with somebody and hope that one of you gets a more advantageous position than you had.
In judo, there's I used to be a fighter. I had 15, 20 throws, all these different throws I practice all the time. I practice left-handed, I practice right-handed, I practice these kind of switch weird throws. Um, then I moved to Japan for a year, and then I watched some very important videos that talked about specialization. And I changed my style to do basically one throw. And I'm so good at that one throw that I can tell you this was my goal for a number of years. I'm so good at this one throw, I can tell you, and the guys in my club know this. There's one throw, but I'm so good at it, it's so hard to resist against it. Now, this idea, there's a idea that I've heard in Buhurt called total Buhurt. You could fight any position, you could do any weapon set, you can fight all the categories. Is there the best fighters or the best outcomes coming through tournaments from being super specialized, let's say a really specialized center versus a total Buhurt fighter?
I think it's definitely good to have a specialty. It is good to know like what you do best at, whether that's because of your skills or because of your size or like whatever you're best suited to. It's good to have an awareness of what you simply is like suits you the best. But broadly speaking, specialization is for insects. Uh, if like the generalist, in my opinion, almost always wins. Um, it's not that you need to be able to do everything. You should have something you're good at, but it shouldn't be a bad thing for you if you have to do something else. You know, like if you realize that your team is running without any two-handers on the field, and you're like, ooh, we should probably have a little bit of striking threat on the field. It shouldn't be like a nerf for you to have to pick up a two-hander. Like you shouldn't become useless. You're like, I don't know how to grapple with this. Like you like have a specialty, but also in equal measure have flexibility. Flexibility, adaptability is like going to be useful to you in more situations than your specialty. Your specialty will work really well under the circumstances it is special to, but your flexibility is what will get you through all your fights.
What separates a good fighter, a fighter that is they're good on their team. They're maybe they do well at their regional events. They get a few kills throughout a tournament. What separates them from the truly elite fighters? Is it technique? Is it athleticism? Is it aggression, fighter IQ, conditioning, or is it something way outside of all of those things?
Um, I think an element of those, all of those things is definitely present. Fight IQ, I think maybe is the leading cause because like really what it is experience. Like if you can read people and situations and read the situations that your teammates are in, um, and know the people you're fighting, like if you can have a complete picture of what's going on and make informed decisions about what's going on, like that's, I think, what separates like the good from the elite is like um split second informed decisions. And that is like broadly just like experience. Like I've seen this guy fight a bunch. I've fought this guy a bunch. I know what to expect from him. I can kind of predict what he's going to do. Like that informed decision making play to play, it is what makes the difference between somebody that's like athletically talented and technical, who's like a good fighter, and like somebody that looks like a wizard who's doing things that like oh my God, how is he pulling all these things off? So because he has the secret sauce. He knows something you don't know about this situation out of experience.
He's got all 10 ingredients.
All 10 ingredients.
Let's say you had to take a 6 months you have to take a fighter who is just a good fighter and prepare him for IMCF Worlds. What are you boiling down in the time that you have to cram into this guy to prepare him for the top level of compete?
Um, watch a bunch of tape. Uh, watch the teams that you're going to be fighting. Know who their star players are. Know what their win condition is. Like, know what teams and individuals you're up against and what your goal, your plan, your win condition is against that particular team. The more you know that, the more you can be constantly furthering your win condition and hindering your opponent's win condition, the better a chance you have for victory. And if you are working on good information, you have a lot of opportunities to push your win condition and hinder theirs.
From talking to you, uh, I think that you might be one of the guys who watches the most film on um, on fighters, on teams. What is the biggest mistake you see fighters make that cost them rounds and matches?
I mean, like, there's really dumb ones, like not carrying a secondary weapon. Like that I think is the dumbest thing you could do to lose yourself around. Um, Everyone should carry one. It doesn't matter if you run a two-hander or a one-hander. Doesn't matter if you have a falchion. Like, have a backup weapon. Like, Buhurt is a game of position, and if you lose your weapon, and don't have a secondary, you have to completely sacrifice your position, go on a dangerous run with your back to your opponent to go get another weapon, and probably leave your teammate in a bad situation. All horrible things you could solve by simply pulling an axe out of your belt. Um, some of my like biggest frustrations with the Manticores are like a lot of them don't carry secondary weapons, and I have like seen them win a round and like they crush it. They very clearly have what it takes to beat the team. And then like one of them gets disarmed and they have to go make this horrible run and like, oh, they get head ripped along the way. Like, oh, they left their teammate in a 2v1 and he died immediately. Like, just carry a secondary weapon. It's like the easiest thing you could do to prevent disaster. Um, I think people are starting to get hip to it, but still I would say the majority of people don't carry a secondary weapon. And that's nuts to me. Like it's such a small thing with such a huge investment. Also, if you carry a secondary weapon, practice drawing it. Because you don't want the first time you draw it to be in a tournament, because then you'll be practice that shit.
AKD chop you in the hand when drawing it.
Also, don't do that.
It's me and AKD right now telling everyone buy a belt from Andrew Barron and with a holster, get a secondary weapon. It matters for a lot.
Yeah.
Let's say we talked about being under the shit for a while. You're in the deep situation. Let's say it's 4 minutes into a round. You've got a 2-on-1 on you or a 3-on-1 on you. You're exhausted. You're taking a real brutal beating. What's going through your mind that lets you continue to last through potentially winning the fight?
I mean, like what's your other option, I guess? Like, uh, I don't know. We you got a little glimpse of this, I think, in Idaho, where there was some round where I just like done a bunch, and I wanted to step out and sit down for a fucking second, and uh, you like expressed some surprise that I was like taking a break, and I was like, then I realized that like other people were like genuinely like tired and gassed and like needed to sit down, And I was like, oh fuck, man, like I was just being a bitch. I'm sorry. I just like thought we'd have a sub, and I was like, I was just being a bitch. I wanted to sit down. Um,
When Kyle called for a fighter, we need someone, and you swung right back under the list when you had stepped out, and you apologized to me for being a bitch. That's one of my favorite things that happened that tournament.
like, and to some degree, it's the same mentality when you're like you're in the shit and everything is going wrong. You're like, well, um. I could just take a knee or like like give up and like let the guy throw me or like I could fucking send it. Like I could try something. Like I don't know if it's gonna work, but like do or die, right? Like I feel like sitting down, so I'm gonna go see if I can make something happen. And sometimes it does, and sometimes you get your face shoved in the mud.
We've talked about some great fighters, some guys that are legendary in the sport that, or guys that are great now. If there's one skill or attribute or talent a particular fighter had from any point from Buhurt's inception, uh, what is that one attribute, or from whom would you steal it from?
That big Czech guy, Drax, he's like fucking 6'8" and like 270 or something. Like I would steal his size. I think I
Okay.
would be significantly better at Bohurt if with my current skill set I was 6'8". I think that would be great.
I think most guys want to be taller.
Yeah, I mean, like people say size doesn't matter, and like there's definitely ways around it. It's not like be all end all, but like man, it sure does help. Genuinely, it's makes a big difference.
How do you see your journey across Buhurt? How do you see what's changed for you between when you came in, I want to be a knight, to where you're at now?
Um, I think like a big thing that Bohurt taught me was humility and like being able to um give a good account of myself to like have a reasonably honest and objective uh, opinion of myself, my skills, my performances, and my weaknesses. Um, and I think um, that very much helped me become competitive. Um, if you live forever in the mindset of like, ooh, I just want to do cool night shit, um, I don't think you develop that humility, which I think is very important to develop. Um, I think that humility um, is the difference between like negative self-talk and being able to genuinely like criticize and critique yourself to like self-coach. Um, you don't want to tell yourself you're like, ah, I'm shit at Bohurt. Like I'm trash. I'm bad. I'm like no, no, no. Like, what about your performance in Bohurt don't you like? Like, be constructive with that. Like, have a little bit of humility. Be able to look over your ego and recognize what your weakness is and why you're losing. Um, and I think like that's like the big change that I had like as a person as a Bohurt fighter. Um, is like when I came into Bohurt, like I did not have that sense of um being able to like put your ego aside to genuinely look at what you're good at and what you're bad at and what you want to improve about yourself. Um, and that's probably one of the biggest things I've taken away from Bohurt.
Is there a particular skill that is important that you'd say spectators and new fighters can't see, or it's hard for them to see?
Saving your teammates. Like protecting your teammates from being in a bad situation and getting them out of a bad situation when they're in one. Um, I think spectators a lot of times like the trouble with Melee is that like you really kind of have to know Buhurt for it to be like a good spectator sport. And I think spectators a lot of times don't understand like what a risky position is, what a like bad position is, what is like, oh, that guy's about to die any second now. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not. And I think being able to ensure your teammates' safety by distracting somebody or breaking grips or attacking them and forcing them to pay more attention to you, like I think that is often overlooked by newer fighters as like a strategy. Like there's often like an abstract will to save a person, but like not necessarily like a process behind it. And I think it's something like spectators also don't fully grasp. Um, and honestly, I think Andrew McCabe is a great person to watch for that. Um, he is very methodical about running around the field and seeking to improve the positions each of his teammates are in. Um, Kenya is a pretty good team. They're not usually in bad positions, but sometimes somebody gets locked in a head control or something, and he'll come by and get them out of that head control and then leave and go help somebody else advance their position. And that like trading up in position um, is extremely powerful, especially before the first takedown has happened. If you can just ensure that all of your people are going to be in like a better position than they were before you got there, that's huge.
So, what is a belief that you'd say you strongly held in the beginning of your Bohurt career and that you don't hold now, that you just saw through your own poor mindset or poor belief, and you can see what the reality is or the truth is, or you've changed your belief between then and now?
Two-handers are the most efficient way to take somebody down. That's just wrong. Uh, I fell for the thing I think a lot of people do, like it, big axes and highlight reels. You hit somebody and they crumple. I really genuinely I thought that was something that was going to be like good and repeatable, and we're like, ooh, that's it. That's my strategy. I'm going to hit people really good. Um, and man, I completely turned around on that one. Really, I almost never hit people anymore. I also, for a while, subscribed to the idea that like individual skill really is like the best thing you can do for your team. Like the best thing you can do is be a killer, right? Like there's a lot of good logic in that. Like I'm not even necessarily saying that that's a bad mindset, but it's not one I agree with anymore. Being like individually really, really strong is like a great tool for your team. But again, like we were talking about earlier with like gear decisions, like make the optimal choices so that your journey is as free of obstacles as possible. And it's like same thing with like a team dynamic. Like um team dynamics, you have the ability to um you can learn them faster. Like it takes a lot of grinding, it takes a lot of honing to improve your individual skill. You can teach somebody a strategy in an afternoon and they can enact it. Um, it takes many fewer reps to develop like a tactic, a strategy, than it does to improve your own personal skills. So that's one I've definitely come around on. It's good to be individually really dangerous, but it is a faster route to being a good fighter to be a good team fighter.
So I got to come down and train with you guys a few weeks ago, as of the
Yeah.
airing of this. Uh, really showed me a lot about my thinking that should be different, and with what I my own concerns about my skill level had been. Uh, you we've seen I've talked a lot about uh guys who do soft kit and build bad habits, guys who do a lot of soft kit. What is your guys' strategy around um using soft kit and uh also the intensity that you're training at?
Soft kits, I think, a really powerful tool. Um, and like the common counter argument is that soft kit builds bad habits. And I think there is some credence to that, but only if you don't recognize the limitations of soft kit. That's like saying that like hitting pads in Muay Thai builds bad habits because there's not somebody like swinging back at you. Be like, yeah, okay, that's actually a pretty valid argument. But like the way you correct that is by making sure that like your strike structure is correct, that you are blocking and hitting, that you are covering yourself, that you're stepping offline, that you're like that's just a limitation of the isolated training that you're doing. That's not like, oh, it's bad because it can build bad habits if you don't account for the limitations of the training you're doing. Um, the ability to get lots of reps in soft kit is huge. The ability to squeeze in a soft kit practice, like having to like maintain your armor, having to get kitted up, get kitted down, like that adds a lot of like time to your practice. That adds a lot of like time commitment to your thing. A soft kit practice you can meet up in a park for an hour and do a soft kit practice and get something out of it. Um, that's not so true of armor. Like you'd spend half that time just getting in and out of armor. Um, the ability to get more rounds in, the ability to go longer, um, uh, like balls was like nobody wore armor at balls. It was all soft kit. All we did was soft kit melee, soft kit drilling, soft kit everything. Um, there's definitely downsides and limitations to it. I don't think it's a good replacement for armor. Like soft kit doesn't change your like proprioception the way that armor does. Um, like maybe if you wear the whole foam armor, I don't do that. I don't have one of those. Um, but it doesn't like change like the lack of like sensory input because there's like metal plates all over your body. It doesn't like make your head weigh as much as a bowling ball, which definitely changes like the way you balance and thing. Um, there's definitely limitations to it. It's not like a replacement. It can be a very powerful tool for getting more reps in than strictly training in armor or training with no gear could get you.
Let's say when you see these lower level teams, these building teams, what mistakes do you see them making that they've habituated that keep them stuck as a uh, tier two or tier three team?
I think like not playing to their win condition, not identifying a win condition. Um, because without like identifying your win condition, you don't necessarily have a good plan for victory. Like you need to know what your goal is to achieve it. Otherwise, you're just playing darts in the dark. Um, I think a lot of teams go in without really considering what their win condition is, or like massively oversimplifying what their win condition is going to be. Like an example is what we're talking about is like, ooh, we have a ringer. Like he's our win condition. He's going to get the takedown. Like that's not that's not a very thoughtful approach to the game. And I think any team would suffer from not paying attention to their win condition.
Can you define win condition?
Yeah. Anything that like anything that could potentially make you win. Like that could be like your win condition could be we have a big guy on our team who's good at head rips. Your win condition could be we have really good teamwork. Um, uh, your win condition could be a guy who really knows how to strike and can put somebody down. It's um, the the thing you are seeking to gain a hard advantage. Um, once you achieve this thing, your victory is almost certain. Um, if you have really good teamwork and you have uh like okay, for example, like if you came and worked with soldados, like many win conditions, but obviously one big win condition is that suddenly we have a guy that has a really, really good chance of producing an early 1v1 kill. The rest of our strategy is team fighting. So if we have one guy who can reliably get that first kill, we can jump straight to the team fighting section, which is our strongest section. So like that now becomes our win conditions. Like we achieve this one thing. If we like get that early takedown, we can immediately skip to our strongest game.
When you watch a lower ranked team, let's say like a team that is good for tier two or tier three, what's a mistake or a habit that you see them have that keeps them in the same cycle of um, uh, same cycle of the not upgrading their skills?
I think people get stuck in like a very like one track mindset, locking up with the guy directly across from them and expecting that 1v1 to be like the work they're supposed to do in that round. It just cuts Buhurt down to one very narrow dimension. Um, and it's like it's the most like the most gamble it is like well hopefully one of us is better than one of them and it happens fast enough that we can take advantage of it. um I don't think that mindset is ever going to get you forward progress. I think that can at this point if your guys are good like you can beat some journeyman teams with that strategy, but you'll never beat a tier one team if you don't have some kind of like a deeper goal than well, hopefully one of us will get one of them.
At Company of the Bear, we have, I think, a pretty good team culture, and that comes from a base of camaraderie. We have pretty aggressive practices, I'd say, at least in the beginning. But we do a lot together as a team outside of just practices. Is there a team culture you guys would say that you guys have, Soldados? And is there a certain amount of camaraderie you guys are building outside of the list?
We don't do a lot of team building exercises. That's something I've sort of meant to implement more. Like I don't have a lot of like time for it. Um, but especially whenever we like go somewhere, like when we went up to Slow, we like take an opportunity to like eat a meal together. Because that's just a very good bonding experience with anybody, I think, sharing a meal with them. Our team culture is quite relaxed, as I'm sure you saw from our practice. Uh, we say practice starts at 11, and practice almost never starts at 11. Practice almost always starts at least 11:15. Um, but once it's on, it's on. Like we go hard once we start, but we are a fairly relaxed team culture. Um, I think that like relaxation and practice um, breeds relaxation in the list. Um, it's gets you accustomed to being calm um, when you're doing Buhurt. Um, I think it also I don't know that it like fends off uh like the wrong type. But I think like having such a chill, like fun oriented approach to this like brutal sport um does kind of stave off the like icy red dudes. Like we just have not had a lot of those dudes stick around for any amount of time. Um they've always like either like gotten hip to the way we do things or they just like move on. We've never really had like an issue like somebody that like really challenged our team culture. For the most part, the people that find us are pretty like-minded, and they like what we have going on, and they seem to fit right in.
Is there a time or a tournament where you took a defeat that changed the direction of your training?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, um, like every big defeat is like I don't know, like that's the going to be the thing that fuels me. Like the way I got beaten, the reason I got beaten, uh, um, that's going to inform and motivate my training until the next time I lose. Um, yeah, that's 100%. Every time we lose, that is really like the motivation of the sport. Um, I particularly did not like losing to the Czech Lions in Hungary. Um, uh, the second time I've gone to a world championship, made it out of pools, and then been immediately eliminated. Not my favorite. Not looking to do that again. Um, and also like personal like team losses, but like times that I did something dumb and got, and be like, oh yeah, yeah, like I'm gonna think about that every practice from now on. You know, like I have a really bad matchup history with Nick Huey. Like he's just a big, strong motherfucker and he can grapple. And I kept trying to like grapple him head on, and every time he would get me. And at a certain point, I was thinking about that a lot, and I started and like, okay, like I'm just not gonna fight him. I'm gonna like give him a little bit of space and let him go for somebody else, and then try and get him, get his back. Um, and that like very much influenced my training as to like, yeah, you don't have to fight the threatening guy. Like, let him get distracted, let him go do something else, and like then hit him when he's not expecting you. Hit him when you have an advantage. Like, don't just walk into the lion's jaws.
Let's say you lost your armor, you didn't have any of the claim or titles, and you have all the knowledge and the athleticism you have now, and you were restarted in the sport today. What would you do different than when you started 6 years ago? Or how would you start now?
Um, I made a lot of like um poor gear decisions early on. that I think definitely held me back for a little bit. Um, I think also having a focus on like embracing grappling earlier. Um, I would really try and like build up a team from the ground up, like all guys that live in your area, because like the ability to train with people day in and day out is so invaluable. And even like we've got our like core four on the Soldados, um, and we do all get to train together. But there's like still those three guys, we like four guys we don't get to train with as often. And like that, I think was like the gap I would love to see bridged. Just like I would love to train with my guys all the time, and fight with that group.
Who's the most dangerous team that no one's talking about right now?
I saw this question. I thought about this one a lot. Genuinely a difficult question. Um, I don't know. I was surprised by was it the Legion of Honor? I think that smacked. Um, uh, they gave the Dragoons. They think they lost the Dragoons, but they gave the Dragoons a surprisingly hard time. Um, and the Dragoons are a rock solid team, veteran team, tier one team. For a team that like people aren't really talking about, like I was surprised that they put up quite as much of a fight as they did. Um, I feel like the Poles also are like are have a pretty good team, but it's the like that nobody's talking about is the hard part of this question because I mean everybody knows who's good, um, but the like the up and comers is always a difficult one.
What's a current trend in Buhurt that you think is making fighters worse rather than better?
Um, uh, Over reliance on single techniques like Osotogari and hump and bump, that being like the only tool that people have. Um, Osotogari is great, but you very much enter a 50-50 position when you do it, and it's also very counterable. And if your technique isn't there, you're just putting yourself in a position to be countered. Also, ball maces. This is a less serious one. It's fine what weapon you choose, but ball maces, it's like just an excuse to swing badly.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, don't like them.
I think you and Andrew Barron are on definitely the same chord on this one. He hates them.
In the right hands, they can be damned effective.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people choose them for the wrong reasons.
Who's the toughest fighter you've ever faced individually that you were up against one on one? Is it Nick Huey?
Excluding Joseph Brandt, it's Bohemill.
Bohemil. Oh, I had an encounter with him last weekend. Uh,
He is a large man and perhaps some earlier form of Neanderthal.
what happened in your guys' encounter?
We crossed paths once when I was fighting with Cerberus Emesis at Carnage, and once with the War Pigs um, uh, in Prague, and the same like basically like everybody like warned me like what his thing is, and it was like yeah he's gonna try and get head control on you, and then he's just not gonna let you up. And damn, that's exactly what he did to me. Like I really thought I'd like be able to slip. For like Worlds, I like got this like sweet new helmet, and like I really thought I'd be able to like get out. But yeah, man, as soon as he locked down on me, like there was just like no getting out of it. He also hit me in the spine a couple times. That wasn't fantastic either. And like a big guy who can swing an axe very accurately and also has really solid top pressure is like that. He was a tough dude. So, hate to see him go from melee.
So this sport to take very seriously, in my opinion, is a 3 to 5 days a week of training, um, which we can boil down to a certain level of consistency, but also sacrifice. That's a lot of time. What's the biggest sacrifice you've made personally to build the potential championship team that you guys are on now?
Some of the fun of Buhurt. Um, I think really like the sacrifice you end up having to make when you want to be good at Buhurt is like we talked about this a little earlier. It's like you sort of have to tip the scale a little bit. Like you have to do a little bit like less fun, a little bit more work. And it's important to make sure that you're still getting some of the fun, so you're still enjoying this thing you're spending all of your time and money on. But like the truth is, if you want to be good, you have to be willing to do some work that doesn't sound particularly palatable.
As you guys prepare for IMCF Worlds, is there expectations for your fighters uh, that doesn't have anything to do with winning?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we have a base like sportsmanship we expect from our fighters. You know, especially when you're going overseas, like you are representing the scene. Um, if they see the American team be bad sportsmen, they're not going to think, "Oh, that American team were kind of bad sportsmen." They're going to think, "Oh, like the American Bohort guys, like they're kind of bad sportsmen." Um, so yeah, being being vicious and technical, but also being a good sportsman and showing respect to your opponents. Really doesn't get you any closer to winning, but it keeps the soul of the sport alive, and um, it's important to your image and the way you're perceived and the way you're welcome into the community.
So there was we had a little talk about chapter wars. Um,
Mm.
I'm not really familiar with exactly what it is or why it's gone. If it is gone, what is or what was chapter wars and why is it gone?
Um, Chapter Wars was like an ACS format that basically it was designed to be more watchable to sports fans, as I understand it. So instead of having 10 teams that you're supposed to figure out which one you want to root for, and they all fight a couple of matches, there's two teams, they fight a bunch of matches. So you pick these guys or those guys. Um, and it's two teams of 12, I think. And you do 3 rounds of 5v5 and then a duel. 3 rounds of 5v5 and a pro fight. 3 rounds of 5v5 and another duel. 3 rounds of 5v5 and a pro fight. And then you just do 3 rounds and then you take a break. 3 rounds, you take a break. And the objective is to win, I think, 22 rounds. First to 22 wins. The problem with that format is that it becomes a horrifying battle of attrition if it's done well. Because, like, ideally, you have two teams that are actually well matched and you get good fights. But then you're like easily fighting like 35 or 40 matches, which is like if you went to a tournament with 9 or 10 teams and every single fight you had was a 3 round match. Like, it's exhausting. And it also, like, it incentivizes attrition. Like if you take a guy out of the fight, then like you like permanently damage their bench.
roster. Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose that's true in Melee anyway, but they sort of talked about the like attrition aspect of chapter wars as though it were intentional. And like I don't really love the idea of like, well, we're intentionally damage ourselves for the show. Like that, I don't know, wasn't really it for me. I appreciate what they were going for, and I did a couple of them, but I do not think those are the future of Bohurt. Um, they are extremely hard on your body and your kit.
Uh, why is it gone?
I think it's gone mostly because the people promoting it, and I actually don't know that it's 100% gone. Um, but I think generally speaking, the people promoting it didn't manage to make it a sustainable event. I think they sort of shot for the stars and missed. Um, I can't say I had a bad experience. Um, I'm definitely pretty critical of the event itself, but I mean I had a good time doing those chapter wars, I suppose. Um, the format's pretty brutal, but I think ultimately like um, it was not financially sustainable in the form that they had it.
Okay. We were talking about Buhurt culture. What, in your opinion, should be the Buhurt culture? What should stay? And if there are things to go, what should go?
Um, I think people are um, cluing into the no secrets in Bohurt ethos, and I think that's very good. Um, Being willing to communicate and teach people and bring up teams around you that aren't as good as your team, I think has spread across the nation, and I think that's incredibly good. I think that fosters everything that we want in Bohurt. As far as what we need to cut out, I don't know. I'm hesitant to say any part of our community needs to be cut out. I think in general we've done, I would say, an acceptable job of policing our culture. It hasn't been stellar by any means, but I think generally speaking, the last 5 years of Bohurt has had a fairly positive culture behind it. Um, it's the leadership doesn't have beef with people. It's there aren't like I don't know petty squabbles ruling events and leagues anymore. It seems generally speaking positive and healthy and growth oriented.
Girls. Um, I
They're
think
great. Next
I'm
question.
seeing I think I'm seeing a rise, especially in Baradia. There were more women's teams than men's, and they were able to do a 16 on 16. Uh, is there something we should be doing as coaches, or what can we be doing to foster a culture that will have more women in Booher?
Um, Becoming like teaching people to be better training partners. Like the biggest obstacle I think that women have in the sport is being able to train with other women. And in places where that has galvanized, women's teams have stuck around for a long time, like Dallas. Um, and in places like the West Coast has historically had a really rough time keeping a women's team together because they're so spread out. And that leaves them mostly training with the men on their team. And men, men can be fairly shitty training partners for women for a number of reasons up and down the spectrum. Um, they can be both too like kid gloves with them and also way too aggressive with them. Um, Out of a sense of like not wanting to lose to a girl. It's practice. Just fucking lose. Um, I think being better training partners and being able to do a good job of calibrating to your training partner's skill level and physical size makes a big difference. Um, uh, Being aware of like the limitations of training only with men. Like women are statistically shorter than men. Like it's going to be hard for you to practice head rips the way you're going to be practicing them if you're exclusively practicing with men, right? Like be aware of the limitations of your training scenario.
This is for advice for these. There's a lot of new teams I'm seeing, a lot of up and coming teams. What are the pitfalls that new teams should avoid as they're developing? What are the beginning barricades that could long term hinder new teams?
Don't be afraid to go to a competition. You're gonna suck your first time. Get in there. You need to start building your experience as a team early, especially if you don't have like a veteran presence on your team. Getting your team experience quickly makes a big difference. Um, don't pick a star on your team. You're like, oh, this one guy's really good. Like we're gonna let him do all this. And like we've talked about that. Like don't let one guy be your entire win condition plan. Um, uh, and like don't disregard the meta. Like I think new people often have this idea that like, ooh, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna innovate. I'm gonna like do something off meta. Be like, that's fine. There's no problem with going off meta, but like the meta exists for a reason. And if you just skip straight to doing what's meta, you have a lot of learning opportunity down that path. You can always switch to something off meta later, but like learn the game before you start trying to innovate. Just just do what is clearly working for everybody before you start trying to do something new that nobody else is doing.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. We had a real long interview as
Yeah,
these
I'll say.
seem,
Getting
things seem
hungry,
to go.
dude.
And when you get to talking, I've got my list of questions, but I really appreciate your time and thank you for answering so earnestly. And just thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. I like talking about Buhurt.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah.
There's another Buhurt podcast out of the UK I just found. They're on episode 6 as well.
Is it Danny George's?
Yep. I just met him in Oradea. He was
He,
cool.
I really like Danny George. He's, I don't know how to say this.
Class
I
act.
think the role that he occupies is like is an ideal one. Like a knight marshal who's also an experienced melee fighter is
Yeah.
fucking
Captain
invaluable.
of Northern Wolves.
Oh,
Uh yeah, I got back because me and my girl did like three castles and three fortresses, and we drove all around Romania and Hungary. Um, we stayed an extra day in Oradea just to go and take solo pictures at the fortress. It was a
Right.
special event for me. It was actually more special than a bunch of my judo events because we were not supposed to do as good as we did. But
True.
yeah,
Yeah. And your first international one always like, I don't know, comes with a little bit of romance. Like my my first one in Prague was like, man, like I'll never forget that trip. Like every part of that was awesome.
yeah.
Um,
Was that the one
that
where it
was-
was like raining and it was like hella mud and sand?
yeah.
Dude, everyone that talks about that one talks about it, whether it was the most blessed dream or the worst nightmare.
Okay, so like they they very like they knew that there was a chance of rain and they kind of planned for it. So they ordered like several trucks full of this like Polish river sand that was supposed to like have really good drainage, but like they didn't like put anything underneath it for the water to like drain through, like mulch or something.
Yeah.
They just put the sand down on dirt. So it just became like a concrete pit. And like, yeah, like that kind of mud that like wraps around your foot and suction cups it in. Like,
Yeah.
and it was never like a torrential downpour. It was never like enough to like cancel the event or anything. It was just like a steady rain, just a light, steady rain that just made everything, your fucking surcoat soaked, fucking gamison soaked, fucking everything's muddy. It's just mildly shitty all the time. Their armor's all rusty as fuck. It was a mess, dude.
Fuck. Did you have a War Pigs tabard? Do you have
Uh,
one?
I borrowed one, but I didn't keep it.
No.
It was back before they made cool surcoats, so I wasn't like super hungry for it. They still had the poncho surcoats that were just like black and green with no like design. If they had been one of the black and teal fucking sleeve surcoats with the war pig on it, I would absolutely have tried to get Santos to give me one.
Because the ones that remain wherever they are, because it was special for me because my first tournament was their last, and I did so good in my first tournament, like, and I was like so
What was it?
confused, which was Bakersfield 2025 when it was still in like May. Yeah, that was the last War Pigs as War Pigs.